I am Heather Colvin. I am a senior technical recruiter for a company called Smart Data. We're an IT solutions partner headquartered in Dayton, Ohio, that delivers, that delivers technical solutions and provides staff augmentation support. I'm excited to be here and discuss prompt engineering, the new frontier of smarter, faster recruiting. Today, what I'm going to show you all is a real-time example of how prompt engineering helped me target the right talent for one of our clients. I won't really try to monitor the chat. Like, people who know how to navigate both, like, you're winning on a different level. But let's go ahead and dive into this and see how this approach can take your recruiting strategy to the next level. All right. So with today's example, we're going to leverage 15 prompts that I use to drive results in my particular search. The goal of utilizing ChatGPT is to improve candidate selection accuracy by refining our approach with real-time feedback. So we're going to start with the evolution of knowledge and how it's been acquired. And so with that, traditionally, we would educate ourselves either through books, videos, and human interaction, with human interaction being the only way to get that kind of real-time feedback. So where AI comes in is it combines all three of those methods into one singular channel. But there's a catch to it. The information that you receive is only as good as the questions that you ask. And that is why building skills in prompt engineering in 2025 will be an important flex for you and why we're discussing it here today. So how can we leverage prompt engineering in recruitment? You can do this by optimizing sourcing strategies, boost your expertise, and enhance the accuracy of the information that you deliver or conversations that you have. And we're going to discuss all those particular areas in this discussion. So now that we understand the why, let's get right into the how. So in this example, I'm helping a client hire a full stack Java developer. We've already recruited and delivered qualified candidates, and the client interviewed those candidates, and this is the feedback that we've received. So the client's feedback was that the candidates do not have the implementation experience they claim. Can you provide someone with SDS experience? So here was my thought process that helped generate my prompts with ChatGPT. So my initial challenge was I wasn't familiar with SDS experience, like, at all. And so it's not something that was a prior request of any other client. So this highlighted the need for me to explore and understand what SDS is. And then from the Boolean string side, I had to adjust my Boolean string because it did not include this niche requirement. And then from a knowledge gap perspective, I started to question, like, whether my previous qualification questions adequately captured implementation experience and whether my knowledge of implementation needed to be more accurate. Because I already assumed that it was inherent part of coding, if you're implementing a user requirement, that you are implementing if you're taking a user requirement to drive a solution. So anyhow, I knew that ChatGPT would help generate solutions to these thoughts. So let's get started on those prompts. So my first prompt was, what is SDS in Java? And as you can see here, ChatGPT provided a lot of information. It's important that you take the time to read the information that it provides because, you know, it helps close any knowledge gaps that you have. It'll help you develop expertise in niche areas and position you as a better trusted advisor as a recruiter. It also helps build confidence whenever it comes to having those value-driven conversations with hiring managers. And then it'll strengthen the collaboration that you have with those hiring managers and their teams. And so once I read through this and I built my understanding of SDS, it was now time for me to then take that information and go build that new Boolean string to support it. So my next prompt was, what type of keywords would be on a developer's resume that specializes in SDS? Again, it's not something I'm familiar with. So these are keywords I had not used in my previous string or any other string before. So in this prompt, you actually don't have to read it. I know I said before, you should read everything. I don't need to read this. I just simply need the keywords so I can do my next prompt in order to drive my movement forward. So once we capture those keywords, it's time to apply it to that string. So from there, I prompted ChatGPT, create a Boolean string with those keywords. And as you can see, the original string was not specific to my needs. And that was kind of intentional. Like sometimes I like to keep my prompts basic because I too like to learn the fundamentals. And so with that, that then led me to my next prompt, rewrite with more focus on Java web development skills with SDS. And this helped improve the string, but it still needed a few keywords. So I made a personal edit to it. And that's why it's important to note that with prompts at any level, they do require you to review and adjust. And so additional steps you can take, kind of like I did here, is you can refine keywords. You can remove low probability keywords that are unlikely to appear on resumes just from your industry knowledge. And then you can also add in missing keywords where I added in software developer and full stack developer. And the end result of that is it just enhances the Boolean string, increasing the volume of actual relevant applicants, they're not applying, candidates into your sourcing results. So yeah, and that's how you craft the Boolean string from there. So quick progress update. We've learned key concepts of SDS. We've built a Boolean string tailored to our client's feedback. So now it's time to explore that knowledge gap that I thought I had with implementation. So here was my thought process behind my next prompts. My initial assumption was I assumed that all coding inherently involved implementation, since coding typically addresses user requirements to drive a solution. And so my call to action was to challenge this assumption by testing my understanding with ChatGPT, using it to validate, remove, or expand my knowledge and uncover new perspectives. And so that led to my next prompt. Does Java development always involve implementation? Now remember, my assumption was yes, but through this prompt, ChatGPT responded that it's not always involved. And so, okay, maybe my assumption was inaccurate. I'll take that. I'm not one to be married to my thoughts. But additionally, I read it a little bit further because in this case, you do actually want to read the information because you're trying to build on your knowledge. And I also saw that ChatGPT went on to say that implementation is only part of new code development. Well, I mean, maybe, but I might have missed that before. I didn't really focus solely on new code development with my previous qualification calls. So let's keep exploring. My next prompt is new code development the only way that ChatGPT is used? And I love ChatGPT. Look here. It's now saying no. Well, which is it, ChatGPT? Like, is my assumption correct or not? And so, because now it's saying that implementation is involved in all actions. And this is why it's important to remember that ChatGPT is not 100% accurate. It's learning as we learn. So you'll receive conflicting information like this. And so the result, challenge ChatGPT, which is what I did. So here we go. Let's challenge that. So I then prompted ChatGPT, if the implementation includes all actions to make a system functional, why did you say Java development often involves, but not always? That's when it corrected itself. It explained to me why it went in the direction that it did. The conclusion, my original assumption was correct. And so you got to remember, your insights enhance the tool just as much as it enhances you. So if ChatGPT doesn't seem correct, just challenge the information. And it doesn't even have to be on stuff like this. If you're asking it factual data stuff and it's saying that it's pulling in percentage data, ask it where it pulled that information, what article it pulled it from. You can really get into understanding, like, is it just speaking from something that's just auto inputted in the back end, or is it actually going out and capturing real information? And so, progress update. We've learned key concepts of SDS. We built a new Boolean string tailored to client feedback. We've resolved knowledge gaps based on that client feedback. So now it's time to recruit. We're going to test a new Boolean string and adjust the keywords as needed. We're going to identify candidates and start our campaign outreach. we're going to start scheduling new introduction calls with the talent that responds. And once we have those calls in place, we will move on to the next step, which is enhancing our qualification calls. So my next prompt, what type of questions would you ask a Java developer that would let you know whether they've had experience with implementation? So even though I went to ChatGPT 4 to see if the knowledge that I had was accurate, I still want to make sure I better equip myself for the next round of conversations. So in the picture provided, you can only see a few questions, but the original prompt actually generated about 4 to 5 questions for each category. Well, that's too many questions for just the implementation part and for my 30-minute introduction call. So that led to my next action, condensing that data. So now I'm prompting ChatGPT, give me one question from each category that would be the best question to ensure high-level qualification. ChatGPT provided 7 questions from 7 categories, and then I prompted, of those 7, list the top 4 that would be the most beneficial to ask for a recruiter. And then I prompted, from those 4 questions, write the answers that should be given. And the reason you should ask the answers that should be given is so you understand what to listen for. I'm a recruiter, I'm not a developer, so I don't always know the correct answers to technical questions, and that's where ChatGPT can come in. You can use the Q&A as a reference while vetting talent to ensure their answers align with the information you have. So for myself, I put that information up on a separate screen, and during my introduction calls, I'll adjust my questions based on the candidate's responses. And so if they're giving me an answer and I'm looking at it and I see they're somewhat going the direction I want to go, but the answer just isn't aligning exactly, I can then ask a little bit more strategic questions just to kind of pull that information out of them to either see if they have that skill or if they don't have that skill. Okay, so now that you have the new qualification questions prepared, you can now confidently conduct your scheduled calls and ensure high-level alignment with your client's needs, which was the end result for myself. Oh, actually, I missed the part. All right, so as you can see, prompt 12, we didn't talk about that. So I did ask, what type of questions would you ask a Java developer that would let you know whether they have experience with SCS? You repeat that with prompts 9 and 10 and 11, and then now you've crafted all the qualification calls that you need. All right, so let's keep rolling. So here's a quick recap into what we just discussed. So why prompt engineering is revolutionizing recruitment. It boosts candidate sourcing by generating more targeted and precise search results. It speeds up the identification of qualified candidates and improves Boolean strings to match how talent describes themselves in their resumes. That's a key point because oftentimes when we recruit, we focus on how we would find talent, but not necessarily how they identify themselves in their resumes. So utilize ChatGPT to help you understand how they're showing up versus how you would show up to find them. And then additionally, it helps us craft those tailored qualification calls. And so aligning questions with the hiring manager's specific needs and feedback, addressing unique challenges to assess candidates better, and it refines the vetting process for a perfect talent fit. But remember, when it comes to prompting, the information you receive is only as good as the questions that you ask, which is why building this skill of prompt engineering in 2025 will be valuable. Oh, so I want to thank everyone for coming. That is the end of my session. I actually rolled that out a lot more quickly than I should have. So hopefully you were able to capture what it is that I wanted to share. But yeah, let's wraps that up.